Another episode.
That's my baby. That's my baby.
We're going at it at 110%.
I just want 5 minutes of happiness, please. Just give me 5 minutes.
And they scored! They did it!
Left, feet left.
What the hell was that?
Oh, yeah. What the fuck are you talking about?
All right, fam. What is up? We are back. Another episode of the weekly roundup. I'm your host, as always, Steve Rochelle. Joined on the bottom this time, my good friend, my co-host here, Mr. Zachary Burr, and joining us for rivalry week, Eagles Dallas talk. We got Dallas Cowboys content creator Spooner Zeak over here to my right. Got a fun episode lined up for you guys. We're gonna be talking some football, talking some baseball. We got some guests this afternoon. CFFC guy, my main Nick from my main Timmy Tyler's camp's gonna be hopping on here. He's gonna be fighting at the Parx Casino on October 2nd. We also gonna be joined by Jocelyn Jones-Lybargar. She just came out of retirement, just freshly signed a contract with Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship, and obviously, got some MMA talk tonight. UFC's on. Obviously, there's other news going on in the MMA world. We're gonna touch on, but before we get into that, obviously, the show is brought to you by XBEL Realty. And if you're looking to buy or sell a home, you're looking for a career change in career or brokerage, contact Alan Foy of XBEL Realty LLC at 302-682-8820 or visit him at Alan Foy at xbelrealty.com. What is up, fam?
And Steven. I told him that I would plug this for him. He played basketball at Doane Academy, where I went to high school. He's been the assistant coach there now for the past few years. He was just named the new head coach at Bordentown Regional High School, I believe it was, the new head basketball coach at Bordentown Regional High School. So, hey, you got all the real estate business going, working well for him. He's a basketball coach, high school basketball coach. Thomas Arnone, our boss. Tommy will appreciate that, the baseball coach that he is. So, yeah, you can't beat it, right? You got to love it. The fact that the real estate, the basketball coach sponsors the show. He tunes in every once in a while. Alan's somebody I know for a long time. Really, really good dude. So he's somebody you want to do business with.
Absolutely. Congratulations to Mr. Foy. And, obviously Thomas is going to agree to the poll. Love it. And speaking of the poll, got to get into it with you guys, right? Obviously it's been a while for the Phillies fans, for us Eagles fans. It's been rough going down there to Zeke's house down there in Dallas. Dakota's been doing his thing every time we've been going down there. We haven't won there since 2007, and I guess we're gonna see. Will the Eagles win in Dallas for the first time in 2017? First off, let's get it down there, Mr. Burr. What are you feeling? How you're feeling on Monday Night Football? Prime time. Here we go.
Why do I have to go first?
Because I'm telling you to.
Damn, I always like to be the guy that gets to stir the pot after what everybody else says. But okay, since you put me on the spot. Me on the spot.
You want to complain about it?
I see what you're doing here, Steven. You want to switch it up.
No, Mr. Burr. No. We'll defer. You want to bounce off. Zeke's the guest in the house. He's the Cowboys fan. We're going to be in his house Monday night, right? So let's throw him the floor. Let's say we got Zeek. How you feeling about this one, man? And your thoughts on the poll? Let's see what you got.
So I personally think that the Dallas Cowboys are going to win. I don't think that the Eagles have enough firepower to be able to catch up with Dak and company. The passing attack is very strong, and even though Zeek isn't doing exactly what he needs to do, being a 100-yard rusher, Tony Pollard's being a great scat back. So really, I'm not even depending on the defense. If I can get a turnover or two, that would be great. But it's really just a race to 35. That's kind of how I feel about this Cowboys team. So I think that the Cowboys are still going to win because Dak is so much better than Jalen Hurts, and the weapons around him are so much better than the weapons that Philadelphia has. So it's going to be offense against offense. That's all it's going to be.
Offensive or offense? Well, I mean, we'll see about it. I think the Eagles' defense is kind of shown me at least the the defensive front. I didn't know what we were going to say. Well, I guess we'll have to see what happens. Now that Brandon Graham's gone, and he's done for the season, so that kind of changes things. But I also think that gives more snaps and opportunities for some of these other guys. Derek is gonna get another shot on the other side of the line. Ryan Kerrigan's a guy they signed. Maybe he's a guy that'll get some snaps there. I believe Avery's still on the team. He'll probably get some snap at the end too. But as far as the poll, my feeling on this one, I don't even think it's going to be an offense. I thought it was going to be an offensive scoring game last week, and it didn't even wind up being that. I thought I was literally along the lines of how you were talking last weekend, and it was the total opposite. Nick had some bad play call in there, especially when he got in the red zone there, and my feel is that's what kind of cost them in some of them situations last week. It's going to be, I think, a 3-point game. It's going to boil down to some of those decisions for Nick Sirianni. I really think that despite what we feel, who has the better offense, who has the better defense, etc. I think it ultimately is going to boil down to which coach is going to put their team in the best position and make the best play calling who's going to wind up winning that game. And to the poll, I think we will. I think it's going to be a lot closer. I don't think it's going to be a scoring fest. I think it could be like 24-20, something to that effect.
I don't see it that way.
We'll see.
It's usually a dogfight.
My thing is the Eagles' defense always comes to play on prime time, and if you think about especially how they played in that first game and some of the things that you've seen in the second game, yeah, Dallas does have an explosive offense, but is one of these things we always play each other tough. And we've seen some of the lower scoring games over with these teams over the last handful of years. We've also seen some where the scoring goes a little crazy, but I just feel it's going to be within a score.
10 years ago, I would say the same thing, but with the high flying offense, it's going to be a shootout. It's very hard to cover 4 wide receivers on both sides, like even for the Eagles and for the Cowboys.
Hey, Greg, hard to cover that. See, Zach and Greg Hopton, he's going to disagree. Doesn't think we're going to win. But he's throwing it out there. Let's go Vinny V. Yeah, let's go Phils. Phils are still making a late push to possibly get into the playoffs. Has anyone called Zeak the GOAT? Yeah. Well, one thing's for sure, Zeak is definitely the GOAT on Twitter. For people that don't know, I'm probably one who had one of the guys on ATD probably has one of the bigger Twitter accounts, but Zeke's been the man eating it up on social media over here for the last few years. And I'd be remiss if I didn't give you the floor for at least a moment to kind of give everyone a little background, kind of how you got into content creating, how you became, the spoon of Zeak and what you do on social, bro.
So I've only been doing this for the past year. I just kind of figured out how to market podcasts and market people on Twitter and figure out how to use the app itself and get interactions, engagements. A lot of times I was seeing these bigger accounts with 90K, 40K, and there was 10 likes on their stuff. So I really tried to find active people, and it all based was on a follow back. So if you follow me back, I'm going to try and help you get some more followers that want to get, other fallbacks. So everybody grows together. And that's kind of my whole point. And I just base it all on the base of love for the game. And we all love the NFL. I try and keep everybody really calm and really nice. We can have disagreements. I love coming and talking to Philly because a lot of the Philly people like Steve, who I've known for, since I started, we've always been cool, even though we're on different sides. And that's what I wanted to show everybody, that, you can hate the team, but you can love the person as well.
Oh yeah, dude. Listen, it's funny you say that because it's one of the things I talk about with Philly fans all the time. I want to know who you feel the real rival is. I always feel it with Philly fans. I think it's more of the disdain of some of how Cowboys fans talk is kind of where the real rivalry comes from, and it's more of a disdain of the fan base than it is the actual team. If you want to talk about the actual teams, and at least in my opinion, I always feel it will be the New York Giants over the Dallas Cowboys that is our direct rival, which I feel your direct rival in more cases than not is the Washington football team at this moment.
I agree with you. Like, that does make a lot of sense. But there's just something.
I just think both of our fan bases, our mentalities, the way we go about things, we're just always going to be at each other's throats and in each other's faces. It's just always the way it's going to be. Not just because it's a division rival, just because of I just think it's two kind of different kind of classes when you talk about the cities, and then when you talk about the teams too. It's just two totally different type of people, and I just think it's always it makes for interesting conversations at times.
It makes for fireworks, man, for sure. Absolutely.
I'll say this about it. I live down here in Florida, so I know a lot of Bucks fans, a lot of fans of a lot of different teams. Florida's kind of unique like that. I'll say like the Cowboys are one of those teams where if you don't love them, it seems like you hate them, sort of thing. So for me, the Cowboys, like, y'all got a lot of rivals. You know what I'm saying? Like, it ain't like you guys are kind of in a position where you don't just have to pick a division opponent. Like, there really is a ton of teams around the league where you're like, ooh, we can't stand them. Like, you know what I mean? You match up against the Steelers, the Niners, any of these teams that you would consider, other teams that have had, sustained dynasties, throughout the league, at different points. Those are rivals of yours too, big time rivals, because it's always seems to be like a little bit of like a legacy bragging rights sort of thing.
Yep.
Yeah, that's really the position you guys are in, as the Cowboys. I'll say this about the game this Monday night, because you said, Zeak, you said you thought it's going to be an offensive game. Steven, you said you thought it would be a lower scoring. I'm with you, Steven, about our defense being what carries us. But the Cowboys obviously known more for their offense, not known for their defense. How about this? We're going to have a defensive battle Monday night. The Cowboys defense plays really, really well, and we struggle to score a little bit, and it's going to be a low-scoring defensive battle in that game. I think our defense is better than you're giving it credit for, Zeak. I think we're much better. Signing
I'm not saying that at all.
Steven Nelson this offseason from Pittsburgh. Our secondary is much better. I think we can match up with your receivers okay, but I don't know if I trust our offense to score against what I consider good teams until I see it. It's easy to beat the Falcons. They stink this year.
Look, the receivers are top notch, and even like Cedric Wilson, he's our fourth wide receiver, and he still has some shifty moves. Like, I think I'm not saying he's like on par.
What's up, Molly Mall?
He's not on par with Devonta Smith, but he is like kind of like on that level of like trying to get to the next level in his game, and we are seeing flashes from him. So we also have Dalton Schultz, Blake Jarwin, like. I just think that there's so much offensive firepower. It's going to be hard to cover them all. So that's why I feel it's going to be an offensive shootout.
What about squandered opportunities? I mean, we could both move the ball up the field, but I think we both kind of have a propensity as an offense. Dak can turn the ball over a little bit. Us as an offense, as in a defense, we can cause turnovers. As an offense, we can get a little sloppy. What if you move the ball a couple? Both teams have a couple turnovers apiece, maybe a couple missed field goals, and all of a sudden you end up in a 21-17 type football game because it just ends up being that tight. I don't think that's that crazy.
I don't think it's that crazy, to be honest. I mean, it's the NFC East. I mean, we always fight no matter what the record is for each team, we always fight against each other, and it's a good battle. But I just see that the offensive firepower in Dallas is just so much stronger. Not saying your defense can't handle it, but having Brandon Graham is like the offense losing Zach Martin. Like, when we didn't have Zach Martin, we couldn't run the ball. So, with Brandon Graham, open up some holes.
But I don't even know if Brandon Graham was our second or third best. Like you're talking about, like, this defensive line for the Eagles is deep now. I mean, this defense is a reason. Like, you saw last week how good they are. I mean, Graham can go off the field. Josh Sweat's a good player. We just extended him. We're deep all across that defensive line, and I think I might be okay. Like, Graham has a legacy here because of everything with
now Blue City just brought up a point. Now, Bruce City just brought up a point. Mulata's not going to play.
That's huge too. That'll hurt the
Monday
offense.
Night Football. And if memory serves me, Dillard had a couple duds on prime time. If memory serves me, last season.
Yeah, that could hurt the offense big time.
It's just going to open up abilities for us to try and get to your quarterback. I mean, it's just a young team. That's how I see Philadelphia. It's a young team. I was very surprised on how you guys beat down Atlanta like that. But, hey.
Yeah, I think a lot of people
Atlanta stinks. Let's be honest. Atlanta is really bad. I mean, and me and Steven talked about this last week. Like, was that week one performance more a sign that we're good or Atlanta's really bad? And I think we saw against Tampa, like, Atlanta's just a mess. I mean, they're in one of those stages where you feel like they're going to be really bad. Matt Ryan's on his way out. They're going to want to draft a young quarterback and rebuild. They're just in full-blown we're a mess. We know we're a mess. We've got to kind of just, blow it up and restart sort of thing. And they might win 3 or 4 games this year. Like they might be like the worst team in football sort of thing. That offensive line's bad. That defense has never been good. Matt Ryan's 36 or 37 now. That's
All right,
until I see us compete and play, beat a good football team. That's kind of my thing with we could play a team like the 49ers tough, but until I see us beat a team like that, I just think we're an 8 or 9 win team.
DJ brings a point now. Now on paper, we all get given our points on paper. What would you call this? It would probably be more of an offensive shootout than a defensive battle, right?
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, can you consider like regardless of how the Eagles squandered the Niners game last week? Jalen Hurts, them receivers, First off, Quez Watkins is for real. I think all the talk
Quez Watkins, he's legit.
That's the one thing we could take so far at what we've seen so far this season. Jalen Hurts, Quez Watkins is a connection that we need to pay more. That I think other teams as the season moves on will pay more attention to than the Devontae Smith connection.
Right, Steven, you can't teach speed. Zeak, you know that too. You saw it with guys like Dion and all that during your life as a Cowboys fan.
And I think through the first few weeks of the season, Quez has been rated the fastest player in the NFL as well.
Here's my problem with that, though. Quez Watkins has 112 receiving yards last year on 2 catches. Jalen Hurts, I mean, you take Quez Watkins 2 long, 2 deep shots. Hell, he had the 91-yard reception. That's over half of Jalen Hurts' passing yards. That can't be a thing. Like, that's really bad. That means one play made up half of your passing offense in the entire game. That means that your offense was really bad. You just got lucky with that one big play.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, and here's the other thing. Like if our offensive line is in trouble with the fact that Mulata's out, and the fact that you look at this team and we're more running based between Hurts, Sanders, Gainwell and the guys, like it's more made for that type of running type of team. So if you're making them one-dimensional and the fact that you're missing that offensive line, you also have BBs out. So you got the rookies going to be starting on that right tackle situation. So here we go again. We have some more injuries. Like me and Zach are talking about, that offensive line needs to be healthy if we're to be successful this season. Here we are, week 3. It's already not happening. So Monday Night Football, down in Dallas, this team needs to step up.
We don't have 2 tight ends right now. We have 1.
I know. Zeke's big on them on his playmakers, and I'm going to reiterate what Zach said. Yeah, listen, Darius Slay, Sleeve Nelson, and Maddox aren't a bad 3 pair to try to attempt to break that down. But I think where Dallas could potentially wear the Eagles down is that running game, is that the Eagles are soft. They don't really value that linebacker position. They can get them with Pollard outside of the backfield, one-on-one with them linebackers. And that's where I would say that they would have the advantage in this game, not with the wide receivers. That's just my opinion.
Does Zeke look shot to you, though? Like, Zeke, I don't mean to confuse you, but Zeke, you're the Cowboys fan that watches this team every single week. Does Ezekiel Elliott just look like a guy that, like, running backs have that 4-year prime or whatever? Does he just look like a guy that's kind of just, it's over? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, he's not that guy that he was a few years back. He's just never going to be that guy again.
No, I don't think it's that. I think he still is a talent. It's just the way that the offense is built. Like, the offense is built around Dak. Like, last year, if you would have started before last year, you'd be like, oh, Zeke is Batman and Dak is Robin. Last year showed that was completely opposite. So they are kind of building the offense around Dak, and they're trying to extend Zeke out. That's why we're starting to see Tony Pollard pop off. Like, he had 20 fantasy points last week as a scat back, which is incredible. But it's a 17-game season, and McCarthy's trying to make him last longer. It's like an investment. Like, you want that bell cow running back to last for 3 to 5 to 6 years instead of just the 2 to 3 years. So that's kind of how I see it. It's just the style. Kellen Moore's a quarterback. He wants to throw the ball. He's got Dak there, but Dak wants to give the ball to Zeke because he knows how the run sets up the pass.
And like, literally, if you think about it, like, in that sense, that's where these teams are similar, because if the Eagles can't get their running game going, they can't set up those plays to Smith, to Watkins, where you get Jalen in those situations where he is a successful quarterback, and Blue's bringing up a point where us here in Philadelphia don't like to say the rebuilding word because that's how you become a good team, and rebuilding you can't win at the same time. I mean I think the fans don't like to admit it regardless of the fact, but us over here, we have no problem to say this is a rebuilding year. We've been once you tore this down, this was automatically a rebuilding year, but didn't mean you can't take advantage of the rebuilding year and still be a successful team in that rebuilding year. I think is kind of where we're always at. But go ahead, Zach, go get it.
Well, we say rebuilding, but what does that mean? Like it depends. I think different people have different definitions of rebuilding. Look at Jeffrey Lurie's history here as the owner of the Eagles. Rebuilding isn't a thing. Like if we're bad one year, we bounce back the next. Like we don't have 2 to 3 to 4 years of like really, really bad football. We might be average. We might win 8 games or so, but like since the early 90s when Jeffrey Lurie bought this team, and you see like it always seems like we're average to one of the better teams in the league. You might have one down year and then we bounce back the next year. And that seems to be a consistent pattern. So rebuilding to me is we spent a couple years being really bad to get really good, and we've never really done that. We might retool, but I don't know if we've ever been in a full-blown rebuilding stage. And I think I agree with the idea that our fan base isn't necessarily patient enough to go through that. Like, I think I am, Steven, you are. Like, a lot of us see the big picture and go, okay, we'd be cool with being really bad for a couple of years to be really good long term. But this fan base doesn't necessarily see it like that. They get very restless very quickly. I mean, we've seen that through our entire life.
I'm going to address this one from Matt on the one. Like, I think Fletch is done at the end, and I don't know why you would want to take him out of the middle with what him and Javion Hargrove are being able to do in the middle right now. I don't know why you would want to try to mix that up. I mean, I think Hargrove was one of the question marks that we had coming into the season, and the fact that how he's played the first few games is one of the things that we can kind of, I think as Eagles fans looking at that defense to lean on. I mean, I guess if you're let's say it's the spoon. I mean, if you want Zeak running up the middle right now, the way Fletch and Javion are playing.
No, I want him to be going to the outside. I think that's the best part, but they need to really keep the change of pace. That's how I feel Dallas needs to do, is like really use Zeak for the 1 and 2 downs and then put Tony Pollard in. Tony Pollard is a very electric back. Like, honestly, right now, the way that they're using Tony Pollard, that's exactly how I wanted Zeak to be used, but they're just different people. You know what I'm saying? And, it's a lot cheaper to put Tony Pollard out there. And if he gets hurt, you're only losing $1 million. But if Zeak gets hurt, you're losing like $60 million. So, that's kind of like the trade-off that they do.
And DJ's got a point too. To what Zach was asking you about Zeak right before that. I think the bigger decline is probably the offensive line more than Zeak himself.
Of course. Yeah. I mean, Tyron Smith's been, hurt. He's playing right now very well. Zach Martin, Travis Frederick was there. He's no longer the center. So I think that, the O-line needs to be retooled, rebuilt, and try and get some dogs in there, some road graders. I mean, Connor Williams isn't really the guy that I'm looking for to be my guard. He's Texas, but I'm not impressed with him. I need someone a lot stronger.
Is it again, the offensive line might be a thing, but like I feel like Dak's first couple years, everything was tailored around let's pound the football as much as we can and then let Dak work off of that. Whereas now it's more, Dak's going to throw the ball 40, 50 times a game and everything else is based off of that. And I just don't know if he's a good quarterback, but he's not the guy with the arm talent that's going to carve you up, throwing the ball 40, 50 times. You want to be able to balance your offense and kind of let him do the good things that he does off of that, the play action and everything else, right? You don't really want him to have to carry you on his back. And that's kind of where you've been the past couple of years, is it not?
That is where we've been. But, Jerry paid him. He wants to see the long touchdowns. He wants to see his wide receivers work. That's why he drafted CeeDee Lamb. It's just the way that the offense is built. Jerry is trying to make money. That is what he's doing. That's how I feel about the team. He's trying to make money because I wanted a corner, but we got a linebacker, which is kind of like a nice consolation prize in the draft. But we really needed to hit hard in free agency for corners, and we really didn't. And that's where I was really struggling with it.
Well, he's an old Texas oil tycoon. Of course, everything's about money, right?
Exactly.
It's always been about that. Yeah, when you're an oil tycoon that's a billionaire off of that industry, of course, he sees the flash and all that. Are you almost you look at Jerry Jones. We used to always compare him and Al Davis. Like these owners that were always about winning at all cost types of things. But do you feel as if like Jerry's lost kind of like the vision of what it takes to actually be a successful NFL franchise? Like I hear a lot of Cowboys fans tell me they feel like they'd be better off if Jerry took a step back and was out of the picture and let Steven and everybody else with the net front office run everything.
Look, I think he does very well in his yacht. It's obviously his thinking space. That's where he drafted CeeDee Lamb. So I think he's very stuck on trying to replicate the triplets. I think he is trying to shoot for one more Super Bowl before he shuts down, but he needs to. He's so old right now, and he's boomer, and he's stuck.
Hey,
in
listen.
his
Sometimes you got to admit when, like, even as much as listen, we've been there so many times with different ages. I've watched this Eagle team go through several regimes. And sometimes you wonder, like, if they're ever going to get to it. You have to get to a point where, like, all right, I agree. We're both that with you that both Jerry wants to win one more before he shuts it down. That he's also trying to recreate the triplets. I still think the problem is what I think what was kind of being touched on is that offensive line isn't quite where the Nate Newtons and the Eric Williamses of those early '90 teams were. They're almost to where they were already fighting with the Niners and they were on the back end out. That's kind of where I feel that offensive line is. You know what I mean?
Of course. But also the defense is just not championship caliber. Like that's there's nothing I can say about that.
I'm with you on mine.
Like as much as
I like our corners, as much as I like our front, there's just so much that you have to do. We're still a young team, but like it's one of the things that you're now. I got to ask you about this one because it's something we've been talking about with a lot of the NFC East fans. Like, how do you feel this lays out for you? Let's kind of throw it forward. We're getting ready to head into the playoffs. How do you see the NFC East playing out? I kind of feel, you and Washington are going to be the teams that are going to fight it out. It'll probably take 11 wins to kind of win you that division, but just because I think Washington has the defense. But the real question where they put themselves in problems now is they relied on one guy at quarterback, an older guy. He's gone. They haven't done anything to kind of really solidify that. And I think that's kind of where you guys might kind of take advantage of that moving forward. We'll see what happens. But what are you feeling on your overall outlook for your boys this season?
Honestly, it's going to be like an 8-9 win team that wins the division. Like, it's just a dogfight every week with the NFC East. And last year we saw it was barely a winning record that got to the playoffs. So really it's just who wins the most games in the NFC East. And I think it's going to be, like you said, it's going to be between the Cowboys and Washington up at the top, and Philadelphia and the Giants. They kind of have things that they need to retool to actually get to that level. But I'm not confident in Washington's offense. Like, it's very sporadic, and that's the best way to put it. It's sporadic, and you can't really depend on it. Tyler Heineke, he's doing very well, but he's not going to take them to that next level. Like, Fitzpatrick was supposed to be that next guy, but he's more of a stopgap. So I think that our offense will be able to, honestly, the way that the NFL is built, I feel like that no matter how good your defense is, if you go against a good offense, it's very hard to win against a good offense. Like, there's just so much spread outness. It's hard to cover all the zones. So I feel like the Cowboys will be able to pull it off a win, but it's not going to be like an 11-win team that does it. It's going to be like an 8, 9, 10-win team, if anything.
Does anybody else feel like you need to be able to, you should have to drink a case of Heineken if you're going to watch a Washington football team game right now? Like, if Taylor Heineke's quarterback, that means while you're watching, you have to drink a case of Heineken. It's just the rule. Like, it just has to be a thing. Like,
yeah, I mean, I completely agree. Like, it's just a little bit of respect on his name. And,
appreciate the love, Steve H. But he this is one of our Twitter guys over here, always in there. But now that who is the Cowboys fans' biggest rival? So I guess he wants to know who. Like, Steve, I believe we touched on it right before you hopped on, but I'll give you right back to it, Zeak. your biggest rival for your boys?
My biggest rival for my boys is honestly like disdain for the team. It's Philadelphia, but like legacy rivalry is obviously Washington.
Now, do you have one take the division out of it? Take the division out of it.
Philly.
It's still Philly.
Don't like Philly.
All right. Okay.
Right, now you got.
I mean, we expected that, right? I mean, that's like
so. I want to hear where does the hate come from, brother? Is it just from the interactions with other fans, or is it just how the teams play each other? It's just nasty, hard-nosed football. What is it?
It's just brashness of the fans, and the interactions haven't been exactly great, except when I started becoming Spoon of Zeak. That's when like the good Philadelphia fans came out, and I met Steve and stuff. So but also just the games. Like I really just wanted Philly to lose, and I wanted my boys to win. So it's just a culmination of years of watching football. I just don't like Philly. Sorry, guys.
It's all right. It's all right. We don't love you. We don't got no love for you either. I don't got any love for anything that comes from Texas, unless we're talking about actual players or like athletes, fighters of that nature. I won't hate on the whole state like that, but yeah,
their women have sexy accents.
But absolutely. Now, Cade actually is a Cowboys fan, and he's going back and actually he's not high on Washington. Think that it will be Philly that actually gives you a little bit more problems than Washington this season. So.
I don't know. I think that the first week where you guys kicked Atlanta's butt, I think that showed how bad Atlanta was, and I was kind of like, wow, like considering the preseason games I watched of the Eagles, not saying preseason really matters, but they didn't really look too positive. But you guys came out swinging, and that's great. And you guys lost to San Francisco, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So I'm okay. I'm okay. I think that's third.
So I want your take on something here, Zeke, because I think a lot of people, we talk about your Cowboys, right? And they had a dynasty, and Aikman and Emmitt Smith and all that, early 90s, all that, right? Now, we talk a lot in Philly about the free agency period that cost us Reggie White and guys like that. And I think a lot of people associate like big-time free agents with a team like Dallas. Oh, they're always going after the big-time free agents. But in reality, Dallas hasn't won anything really. Like they haven't been able to build anything that's a consistent winner since free agency really started. All that team was already put together, really like from their core was already put together in the 90s before free agency became a huge thing. What is your take on that?
Cade's got a point right here. When you look at when we look at the NFC East, like literally the only reason why people talk about this rivalry is because we're like it's always like Washington fans can't be fan at their own freaking stadiums. What the Giants fans don't like, even though they
we're the most obnoxious. The two of us. Well, right? It's the most fun for us to get in. Like we get into it when we get into debates and arguments. It's fun. Right, it's good stuff.
And the funny part is, to be fair, most of the obnoxious fans aren't actually from Philadelphia. I promise.
I can guarantee that too. Yeah, I can see that.
But just like I feel the most obnoxious Dallas fans aren't from actual Dallas or Texas.
I agree with that. I agree with that. But I guess my point to that question was
that's where the most of us get the rivalry from. I think that's where most fans get their good or bad stigma from. It is not necessarily the actual fans who are living in it's the people who kind of adopted that fandom. Like if you don't really have that team but. Like I seen some.
That's a lot of the reason why the national fan base hates Dallas, right?
No, we come across I came across this tweet this week, and this guy was like, "Our net worth, we can buy the Buffalo Bills and the Eagles." And I'm like, "Do you realize that's not how the NFL works? You can't actually go and do that."
That's why a lot of national people hate Dallas, right?
But that's actually why a lot of Eagles fans and Dallas fans kind of butt heads, because we're like, what is this ridiculous? Like, when we're having points of conversation, you go to what your net worth is and that we can buy you.
I don't care about that. I mean, honestly, I try.
At the end of the day, the only thing that we should care about this rivalry is the talents of the team and how they play against each other on the field. We can argue about that all day. I want to get your thoughts on this one. I already mentioned the Quez Watkins thing. What do you think about what the the Eagles wide receivers core has kind of changed since the Super Bowl run that we've seen with Carson Wentz and Alshon Jeffrey and Torrey Smith.
I was very surprised that you guys won with that group. But, it wasn't. I felt like your defense really carried you in that.
It was. I just think it was. We had that season was kind of a perfect mix. Like Alshon, like had so much to prove that year. He just left Chicago. He wanted to kind of be. And he had some big plays with Carson that kind of really made this team exciting. And then Torrey Smith would hop in, and you still had Nelly there in the slot, and you had guys to make plays. And it's not even just that. It was also the mix of what you had at running back when with Buck and what you got out of Garrett Blunt. It was you got literally the last few pounds of treads out of them tires. Got you a ring, and at the end of the day, it really boiled down to the defense. It really boiled down to that front seven, Fletch. Brandon Graham, I say it all the time that they put a freaking the Bud Light put a freaking statue of Nick Foles out there when it should have been a statue of Brandon Graham.
I completely agree with you. But I do like the wide receivers that are coming in. Devonta Smith, he is a talent. He's shown some flashes. Quez Watkins. I mean, he's kind of like Travis.
He's still kind of a new thing. Like you don't know what's going to happen once these teams get films on them and scheme and try to figure out how to put them out. Like that's why it's one of these things. Like I think one of the things that we get hard about a lot of Philadelphia fans in here is how we like to crown guys before that. They had people making Travis Fulgham T-shirts last year. I'm like, did we just pick this guy off the practice squad? Let's get some time to see what actually. And then what happened this year? Did he make the roster? No. Okay. All right. So what happened to all of that? I think the one thing is like you want to see what happens long term. I think it's safe to say we know Devontae Smith will probably be a guy who will be successful on this level probably for more than 5 years. It's one of the things that like you can't say. There's nothing you could take that away. Now the real thing is what actually develops into what happens with the guy like Rager. Will he ever live up to that number one billing like what we just went through with the Nelson Aguilar? Now if you pair Rager, Watkins, and what you got with Smith, you actually have that could be fun depending on what those two develop into. And that has kind of been the problem. We've been sitting there saying if these guys develop and they just none of them been able to I don't think we've ever really developed a wide receiver here to kind of be into anything.
No, you haven't.
Think about that. Like, he was, we just had Zach talking about the free agency era. The TO thing was kind of the last one that we had. And then he still wound up that whole thing didn't even last, 2-3 seasons. He wound up, down there in Dallas.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So like, it's one of these things like you can't, us Eagles fans, at least us ones who have functional brains, anyways. We know you just can't go by a couple games, a handful of games, one season. You need the long term, and it's one of these things that hasn't really happened here. So we'll see, but I still think what we're looking at Monday night. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be Monday Night Football. What are some of the things you're gonna be looking for? Not just the game, but like we always love prime time. I think it's gonna be our first Eagles Dallas with the Manning brothers, right?
Yeah, I'm actually gonna tune in for that because that seems like a lot of fun. I love the Manning brothers. They're really funny together, and they keep it light. It's a lot better than listening to the Crew on ESPN, to be completely honest. So. I'll be looking.
How bad has that become, guys?
Well, yeah, you got to think about it. Like, how bad has a lot of like when we talk about big time production when we're talking about NFL, NBA, like just the announcers. Like I don't know where these guys come from. It's just when I guess we were at least when I was growing up and depending on I know Zach isn't too far behind, but we had color commentators and guys who had it wasn't just somebody you just want to mute it and just have a conversation with whoever's in the room because it's just bad. Can we go back and find recreate like John Madden, Pat Summerall in various
Howard
versions?
Come on, Steven. I know you remember Howard Cosell.
Listen, I'm not gonna have to throw the goat out there immediately, man. Come on.
But think about how Monday Night Football started with Howard Cosell and Frank Gifford and Don Meredith and how great that whole team was. Anybody that can remember those guys working together and just how great that whole combination was. Then you got into Al Michaels and John Madden, and that's also that's a great combination. And now we're stuck with, I mean, even John Gruden, even like it's goofy as John Gruden, as much as you laugh at him, you're like, hey, he was entertaining on Monday Night Football. We're stuck. I can't even name the play-by-play guy anymore on Monday Night Football. That's how bad it is. Like I don't even know who it is off the top of my head.
I don't know who goes into hiring some of these people, but like you need to bring somebody who has like charisma, character, even when we talk about the ESPN kind of media shows, like kind of what we do, they're even worse.
We talk about them. They're not worth talking about.
It's like you can't find the right combination. I don't know what it is where people just for whatever they cannot find the right 2 or 3 people to run these.
Nobody's allowed to have their own personality and kind of build their own thing. Like part of what made Monday Night Football was the fact that Howard Cosell and all those guys kind of built, this image around it. I mean, Howard Cosell got drunk on the air and be slurring his words and be fucking splashed out of his mind, and and it was still, hey, it was all good. This is good TV.
Right, so,
you know what I'm saying? We're past that point now.
We got another one from here. Like, are there similarities from Matt here? Are there similarities between Dak and Hurts that you noticed from the beginning of their careers? You think
they're not close.
No,
I don't think there's any similarities between them.
Hurts has legs. Dak has never had legs. Dak has a better arm. Hurts seems limited in that standpoint. Dak seems to have the ability to at least have a team rally around him. We haven't seen that from Jalen yet.
Yeah, I agree with all those points, to be honest. There's no similarities between the two.
There's none. Like, listen, we love what Jalen could be. He's exciting. It's all that, jersey sales was all a cool thing. But, like, listen, we're still realist over here. He's a QB1. But he didn't ascend like Dak had. He's not what would you call a franchise quarterback. You can't sit there and say you would throw $100 million at Jalen Hurts tomorrow, because I don't.
Dak won Rookie of the Year, for God's sakes. Dak had like 4 interceptions. What is he had, like a 21 touchdown to 4 interception ratio his rookie year? He already looked like a very polished passer when it came to reading the defenses, understanding what the defense was giving him all that.
Dak doesn't have legs when he's being compared to Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, Dak's legs aren't like that's not whatever made him the player
he has. Serviceable legs. He has serviceable legs.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, it's not like sitting there saying he has trash. He's freaking the last. Last thing we were saying that Tom Brady's a better runner than him or something.
He can extend the play, right? Like he could get outside the pocket and throw on the run. He's athletic enough to do that, but he wants to sit in the pocket, have enough time, and carve you up, on timing routes and things like that. Where Jalen Hurts really struggles with his timing routes over the middle of the field, which is where you really have to be good.
That's what
if you want to be successful.
We're agreeing with that Dak doesn't have Hurts legs. He can take off. We
nobody said that. I mean, but
relax.
Right, but Jalen ran for 110 yards last week. Like Dak doesn't do that on a consistent basis. Jalen's over under. If you looked at the line last week, Jalen was over under for 6.5 runs last week. You take the over every time on that with Jalen Hurts because he's going to run the ball over 6.5 times in a game. It's just going to happen by accident with him. His first read's not there. He takes off and gets 5 yards and gets out of bounds. That's just going to happen. That's not Dak. Dak's able to go through 1, 2, 3, 4 with his progressions and then finally check it down to his 5th option. He's good at that. Jalen Hurts hasn't proven to be able to do that yet.
I agree. It's maybe serviceable. We'll see. We'll see what happens. How the season plays out.
Before people rip the whole Tyrod Taylor comparison you made earlier, and we've been making for over a year now. Tyrod Taylor had one of the best starts to the year. Think about how good Tyrod Taylor had been for Houston to start the year. He's hurt right now.
He's the rich man's Tyrod Taylor, and it's not a bad comparison.
Sure. And that's not an insult because Tyrod Taylor's played really well throughout his entire career.
Nah, I mean, I'm not a Tyrod Taylor fan.
I'm not a Tyrod Taylor fan either, but if you want to give a fair comparison of what you think his career can be, is it not him?
Tyrod Taylor's played well enough.
That's a really low ceiling. I would not want that upon Jalen Hurts. I think that Jalen Hurts, I mean, I don't know. I'm not looking for him to be anybody except himself. And
is that a fair ceiling, though? It might be low, but is it fair? I mean, Tyrod Taylor started for multiple teams, and he's been in the league for over a decade. That's a guy. I mean, not everybody's a Hall of Famer, right? Not everybody's a guy that goes and starts years and years and years for a franchise and establishes himself. But if you spend over a decade in the league, start for multiple teams, and prove yourself to be a guy that's a serviceable backup in this league, to me, that's a really, really solid NFL career. I don't think it's an insult to say that's what Jalen Hurts can be.
Same thing. He's been in the league for like 15 years, just making money hand over fist, being a backup quarterback. Like, I would not want that upon Jalen Hurts. I think Jalen Hurts
led Buffalo to the playoffs as a starter. Hold on, you're being a little unfair. Tyrod Taylor led the Buffalo Bills to the playoffs as their starting quarterback. If Jalen does that at any point in his career, you're like, hey, you know what? You led a team to the playoffs as a starter. It's not a bad career. Like, I think that's what people really like knock Tyrod Taylor, and it's not fair. Like, the Bills haven't been good since Jim Kelly was quarterback, for God's sakes.
One playoff appearance for Jalen Hurts is what you're really looking for from him?
No, my point is, if you take the Bills to the playoffs the way Tyrod Taylor, like, that's an accomplishment. Like to sit here and say Tyrod Taylor's not good.
It's not like we're talking about the Bills team they have now.
Come on.
It's not like we're talking about the Bills team they have now. We were talking about that team that he had.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's not bad. Like, nobody's saying Tyrod Taylor's a great quarterback, but he's definitely a guy that's been above average to good his whole career.
But I think that like, even though he led Buffalo to the playoffs, he's really bounced around for a while, and they hasn't really gotten much respect for what he did. And that's not what I'm looking for Jalen Hurts. Like, I think Jalen Hurts can be a legitimate weapon in the league, and he can probably use that.
You think Jalen could be? What's your comparison if you had to compare him to anybody?
I wish I was given this question before I came on, because I would have thought about it, but I don't really have a comparison for him. He has the ability to be mobile. He has the ability to. He came from championship pedigree. He's done well in his first few starts into the NFL. I think he can be something in the NFL.
He came from championship pedigree, but let's forget he lost a job from Tua, who looks terrible right now.
Mm-hmm.
Let's not forget about that. Like, yes, he did come from good lineage and stuff like that. But hey, like, listen, regardless if you come from good lineage, Steve Young, stop it, Mr. Wing, stop it, Steve Young.
Yeah, that's not even close.
Stop.
He's not going to be Kyler Murray. He's not going to be Russell Wilson.
Without the Super Bowls, I would say Steve Young is a great like ability comparison for Hurts.
Really? Steve Young used to be able to go on the run to either side and fit a ball in a window this big between two defenders. I have not seen Jalen Hurts be able to do that at all.
Bryce is up in the house. Tim Tebow. But I still think he has a better
think he might be compared to Steve Young when Steve Young played in Tampa.
And I don't even think it's Tebow either. Kay's over here throwing Tebow. Listen. I think that's an insult to Jalen Hurts' football IQ.
Yeah, that's actually an insult to Jalen Hurts. Tim Tebow had a 47% completion percentage. Tim Tebow was awful as an NFL quarterback.
He won a game against Pittsburgh.
Who gives a fuck? When you complete 47% of your passes as an NFL quarterback, you are absolute dog shit.
Demaryius Thomas. He had that
dog shit. No, come on, man. Even you're a smart enough football fan to get this. I know you want to have a little fun, but when you complete 47% of your passes as a career NFL quarterback, you're dog shit. Absolute dog shit. No matter what era you played in, you can go back to the 50s. You're still dog shit.
I mean, I would see games where he would win a game throwing 3 for 21 for 47 yards. Like, that's a winner right there, sir.
No, that's not. That means your team won in spite of you, not because of you. That means they had all this other shit that went well. They'll help you win a game. They didn't win because of you.
He went up against Dick LeBeau's defense, man, and won against him. I saw that slant route. It was perfect. It was like 5 yards, and Demaryius Thomas took it 80.
You could make that throw. Come on, homie. You could make that throw. Let's be honest. You're making that throw. With that type of play, hey, Steven makes that throw with his Steven, which arm do you have the injury on? Your bicep? The right arm? Steven's making that throw with his bicep arm. Steven's got a torn bicep. He's making that throw with that arm.
Oh, no.
Steve McNair's a good comparison, too.
Steve McNair might not be bad. I actually see that's a decent because I think
Steve McNair is like kind of a Hall of Famer for me. So I don't like that. That's a rough one for me.
Maybe, but I like the skill set comparison. See, I like that skill set comparison there. Maybe never quite to Steve McNair's level, but that's a good comparison.
We're running with a Kate. It's all right. We know it's not an actual thing you were doing. We're just throwing names out there.
Now, Steve McNair might be the best comparison I've heard.
No, Steve McNair is who you want him to. Is Steve McNair is who you want him to develop to be?
If he could become Steve McNair, I'm absolutely thrilled because I'm with you. Steve McNair for me is a borderline Hall of Famer. Steve McNair, you're talking about a guy that
But that's I think the
big injuries, carry teams on his back during clutch times. I would love that guy. I'd love him to become that guy.
But as Mr. Wings get into it, the difference is Steve McNair had a freaking cannon though.
Well, yes, but Steve McNair, but you know what's similar between them? McNair, especially early in his career, McNair used his legs to create everything else. And McNair kind of learned everything else after that. It was his legs that kind of helped him early, and he learned and developed all the other skills. I think Jalen's a hard enough worker and a good enough natural athlete where if you say, okay, use your legs and then just work really hard to develop everything else, I don't know if he'll ever be a superstar, but I think he can be serviceable. And I think that's where we talk about, I think Tyrod Taylor's problem in the league is he always gets banged up. Like every time Tyrod Taylor ever had a chance to start or do anything with anybody, he always got hurt. In Buffalo, he got banged up. Obviously, last year with the Chargers, they have the freaky thing with the needle injury. Now he's banged up again in Houston, which was his best opportunity to take the job and run because there's nobody to challenge him. And he's banged up again. That's where Jalen, I think, is different than Tyrod. Jalen, he'll get banged up. He'll play through those injuries. He's going to be that guy that kind of I appreciate all the effort. I just don't know if there's enough natural throwing ability there for him to ever develop into the guy that, like Steve McNair, like you said with the arm, he had the natural throwing ability. You just had to kind of polish it over time. I don't know if Jalen has that ability from a natural or, arm talent perspective.
Now, before we get ready to wrap it up and let Zeke go, overall predictions for your team this year, bro. Well, what are you doing? Is it a divisional round loss? What are you seeing?
I'm gonna say we're gonna win the
wild card and divisional round loss, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm feeling. To be completely honest, I mean the defense is just not there. It's not. I love Trayvon Diggs.
Here's my thing. Who do you feel is going to be the surprise team in the NFC that is going to wind up pushing Tampa Bay this year? You think it's going to be Stafford and the Rams is going to be the team pushing them this year?
Yeah, they look real nice, and Sean McVay's real pumped to actually have a good quarterback. I mean, Jared Goff, he's had some games with Detroit, but he's not on the same level or even tier as Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford's been toiling away in Detroit. I'm glad he finally got somewhere.
Yeah, I agree. Like that was one of my surprise teams. Carolina was looking good, but their all-purpose man's injured right now, so we're going to see how that plays out. But Sam Darnold,
three bad football teams. Let's be honest about Carolina. Look at the way they've started the year. I mean, they're not. That's all.
I'm not sitting there saying. I'm saying that they're looking
to be a player, but that's not a good team.
I didn't say they're a good team. I'm just saying. I'm sitting there. They're looking nice.
Yeah.
And
I agree with that. I know where you're going.
Because of how bad they were, they could be a team that probably winds up in one of those wild card games.
If they win 8 or 9 games, you're like, hey, that's a great, hey, what a step forward for them, right? Like type of thing. Like they're built. I actually really like Matt Rule. I think they're building something there. I think Donald has talent.
So I guess one last time, is it a shootout or not Monday night, guys?
Shootout.
What's your definition of? Because I think 21-17.
Anything over 28. Anything over 28 points is a shootout, right?
Yeah.
Do you guys think it's going to be a high-scoring game?
Race to 35.
Okay. If it's a race to 35, Dallas wins, Zeke. I'll tell you that right now. If it's a race to 35, Dallas wins.
Absolutely.
8 out of 10 times.
Yep.
If they keep them under 30 points, they could possibly win the game.
It's going to be the team
Should
that makes
you start Godwin over Hopkins this week? Are you smoking crack? You don't start anybody over Hopkins. What is wrong with you?
I'm going to go Hopkins.
Yeah, listen. When it comes to he's one of the wide receivers in fantasy. Why are we talking? Like, I know Godwin's one of Brady's guys, but I don't think he was someone I would flip over Hopkins.
Yeah.
Regardless of the matchup, or if you feel they would possibly be using him as a decoy, I think that's a bad move. Zeak, what I'm going to do, as I typically do with all my guests, is kind of throw the proverbial microphone. Anyone you want to give some love to, tell everyone where to follow you on your socials. Anything else you want to say outside of that, man? The floor is yours.
Yeah, you guys can definitely find me on Twitter. I do NFL follow trains. I help people connect. And, I also do promotions for people, try and help them get their podcast out. I also have a YouTube channel, Spoon of Zeak, is where I help people do Twitter better, get more engagement, more interactions. It just started, but, give the sub and, give me a comment. I'll definitely try and answer any questions you have, try and help you guys out. I'm just a person that just helps people on Twitter grow and try and get eyes on their stuff. So that's all I really do.
Keep doing your thing, brother. I guess one last one from Matt. MVP, I guess player of the game for where you see on Monday night, man.
Dak or CD.
Yeah. And if the Eagles do it, it's not going to be Jalen Hurts. It's going to have to be one of the position players is going to have to go off. This is what's going to have to happen.
I think if the Eagles win, your defensive your MVP comes from the defensive side of the ball on the Eagles. Somebody makes a big play. Darius Slay has a pick six. Steven Tyler, that he's from Aerosmith. Steven Nelson, so somebody has a big play on the Eagles defense, right? And something happens. Something happens from a big play there, or special team somewhere like that. But yeah, I'm with you, Jalen. What I would like to see Monday night against Dallas is them really put Jalen in a good position to succeed like they did against Atlanta. Don't make him have to do too much. Make everything else in the offense be, so successful from a running game perspective and all that, where he can just play off of that. Because I just don't trust the idea of him having to try to throw, like the offensive game plan being built around Jalen Hurts having to beat you with his arm. I don't think that works.
Mm-hmm.
Well, appreciate the time tonight, my friend. I know, a little bit past what we talked about, but, always appreciate it. Can't definitely going to be.
That's what happens when you have good conversation, Stephen.
Oh, obviously. Definitely have Zeak back on here again. I guess when we run it back and come back to Philly later on in the season. Again, guys, please make sure if you're on social, regardless if you got them podcast players from, reach out to Zeak, man. He's a fun follow. And I know you got your own thing going on. Make sure if you guys are some of the Cowboy fans in the chat tonight, make sure you're heading over and checking out everything Zeak doing. Appreciate your time hopping on. We'll definitely catch you back and have on some more fun and do some more things, man. Appreciate it.
Yep. Thank you for having me on.
No problem, brother.
See you.
All right, everyone. That was my man's the Spoon of Zeak. That was fun. We'll definitely run that one back. We're gonna have. Oh, doesn't even look like we're gonna have a minute to talk here, my friend, because our next guest already just hopped up in the back here. So as we get ready to transition to that, let me get the. I want to actually throw the.
Is the Dan Hooker fight happened yet, Steven?
Don't have the fights on just yet. Hold on, give me a second. But like I said, I want to intro our second guest of the afternoon. And before that, make sure everyone is checking out the HD memberships. It's $9.99 a month. Perks include the appearance shows, membership only streams. Shout out to Weekly Sports Picks with Money Pat podcast and Willie Vegas. Also, we're gonna be running some giveaways. So anyone who is subscribing, make sure you let the fam know, because we're gonna do a giveaway over the next few weeks. For the new members, I got a gift bag for the Eagles fans for a couple sign 8x10s. A couple stickers and whatnot. Also for the current members, anyone who recommends a new member, I have a signed item to be given away. I got a signed Michael Vick vinyl that you can add to your collection. So guys, make sure you're checking out the perks for the A2D memberships. With that being said, going to be joined by our second guest of the afternoon, and that's my man, this flyweight for over at Cage Fury Fighting Championship, Mr. Nick Gebhard. What's up, brother? How we doing tonight?
What's going on, man? Thanks for having me, guys.
Oh, it's a pleasure, man. You know, I seen Timmy was giving you some love, and I know your fight's coming up here. He's gonna be parx over here in Bensalem, right?
Yeah, October 2nd. I'll be fighting around 4 p.m. over there at Parx Casino.
No, it's literally like a freaking 10-minute walk from my house.
yeah, nice.
I'm literally like right there at the edge of Philadelphia in Bensalem, so it's like that's not far from me at all.
Yeah, it'll be a good night. My teammate's fighting with me too, Daimir Rappa.
Yeah,
he's a real good wrestler. He's gonna put on a show. I'm looking to put on a show. It's gonna be a good night.
So I guess you're new to A2D, Nick. I guess kind of give the fans a little intro about you. Let everyone know how you got into combat sports. Obviously we're going to talk a little bit about the fight, but some of the things that made you passionate to got you into combat sports, and why are we seeing you fight here October 2nd here on for Cage Fury Fighting Championship, sir?
Yeah, so ever since I was a kid, I joined wrestling, and I thought I was signing up for like WWF, WWE type wrestling, and when I went in there, I was real disappointed.
I think we were all at some point when we were kids when you first heard wrestling, like, oh, so we're gonna do like the WWF stuff, and then you get there like, wait,
you want to hit somebody with a stone cold stunner, right? Yeah,
I'm looking for the tables, ladders, and chairs, and they're like, you're crazy. So I ended up quitting and not liking wrestling, but I got back into it a couple years later. I was like 8 years old when I got back into it, and I was pretty good at it, so I stuck with it. I've always been little all my life, so playing football, I was good, but I would get hit too hard by the bigger guys. I was like, man, I need a weight class. So I got into wrestling. All the guys around my size, I was pretty good with, dominating most of the matches. And I just I knew I needed to translate into something, transition from wrestling into something. So I found MMA, and I started striking, right after high school. And I'm 25 now, so I've been striking for about 5 years, kickboxing, Muay Thai, and adding to my wrestling, doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I'm a blue belt, and I just been trying to add to the arsenal, trying to build my wrestling. I don't want to stop, grappling, combat sports. I love it. So
yeah, speaking of grappling, you catch Amanda Levy's grappling match with Gabby Garcia tonight?
No, I actually didn't. I'm watching the UFC fights right now.
Oh yeah. Yeah, she had one of those. I think there was multiple grappling super fights they had this afternoon. I think Danielle Kelly is doing one. I think I think she just competed around 7. But then this afternoon, Amanda Levy had freaking ADCC world champion Gabby Garcia and dominated her for the better part of 10 minutes of that 15-minute match. That's crazy.
Wow. Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah.
And she just had a short notice fight for PFL and got a quick submission for them. So if she keeps doing that line, we can very well see her taking out some of those girls over in PFL too. So speaking of which, obviously you got UFC 266 tonight. I know we'd already seen. I think my boy Jason was in there real early in the chat. Asking me what my picks are. How are you feeling for tonight's fights? You got a bunch of ones. You got Volk's in there, Mr. Ortega. Where we got Bullet and freaking literally Lauren Murphy's arguably probably one of the most underrated, toughest, well-rounded fighters in that division. Yeah. She was an Invicta FC champion. She isn't the most flashiest one, but that girl is tough fight. You're also, obviously we got Lawler Diaz. You got Curtis Blades on the card. I mean, dude, and we were. Go ahead, brother.
I just wanted to ask: I've got money on Hooker and Robbie Lawler. Your thoughts?
I like both those picks.
Yes.
it's a little sketchy hookers fight. You know, that's going to be close.
It's a dangerous fight, but listen, Dane's another one of these guys underrated. He's arguably one of the top 10 guys in the world. You know, he's over in the UK. He's not one of these loud, big, bolsterous guys, so people don't really talk about Daniel Hooker, and he's the man.
Yeah, he's a beast.
I had him on a podcast a while ago, but you know, I think I made too many Hooker jokes and got myself blocked. I'm serious, dude. I woke up one morning, I was sitting there, I was gonna send him a message. I was blocked. I'm like, hey, what'd I do?
Yeah, no, that guy's a beast.
He is. He definitely is a beast. And another one, like I said, we got former guest here on the show, Christopher Dawkins. It's his birthday. Another big tough fight for him. But he got the knockout. He won. Oh, he did?
Yeah, like that guy's another beast. You know, he's an.
I already said it. I remember watching, you know, Chris and Kyle, like when my kids were training at Martinez's gym at that time, and like it was right around the time when both of them started to getting a good push there for Cage Fury, and you know. So I mean, I assume that's one of the reasons why you wanted to hook up with Rob Hydock and Andrew Garcia is over there at Cage Fury Fighting Championship, because you know they are pretty much, you know, one of the major promotions that the UFC goes to. You know, short notice fights, this guy's hurt, etc. That it's typically Rob's one of the guys that Dana has on speed dial. Is that another reason why you know you kind of want to? You know, you've had, you know, your first two amateur fights through Cage Fury. Is that kind of where you want to continue to go through and grow?
Yeah, for sure. I'm really lucky to get on Cage Fury because, you know, I know a lot of guys that have been training and fighting, and they're fighting on different smaller shows, you know, trying to get on Cage Fury to have just that platform for everybody to see them, and with the Fight Pass deal and everything, you know. But no, my coach has a great connection with Cage Fury. So I knew that, you know, if I show up and train hard and show him what I got in the gym, that he'll push to get me on the Cage Fury. So, you know, that's just exactly what I did. But yeah, I love Cage Fury. I hope to have, you know, all my fights with them. In my eyes, it's the best promotion right next to UFC, you know, if you're not fighting.
Well, I mean, if we're talking about regional, like listen, it's real hard, like to find good regional shows, especially that you can link up with the bigger promotions when we're talking about combat sports. So if we're talking about anyone in this area, and that's the thing about Rob, like over the last, you know, 3 to 5 years, he's expanded. So like he used to be strictly like it was Atlantic City. But now, like, dude, with some of the partnerships he's made and things that he's done over the last handful of years, they're everywhere. Florida, you know, they just had their 100th show coming back up here. I think he said he still has got 6 more shows, but before the end of the year. Regardless of what happens in this fight, if he says he's still got 6 more, is there any chance that you know, if you happen to get out of this one damage free, or you know, you get a quick win, are you trying to get back in and try to have a few more fights? I know it says you know your last one bantamweight was an amateur. Is are we know when we're going pro, or is this one pro?
No, this one's still amateur. What was the first question you said?
I said the first two were at bantamweight. I've said it looks like this one's at flyweight. Is that what we're staying at when we go pro as well?
Yeah, definitely. The first 2 fights, I had trouble getting a flyweight fight. You know, I walk around 126 pounds, and my coach was telling me, you know, they only had 135-pound guys for me. So, you know, I loved the fight. I just wanted to fight so bad. You know, I've been training for so long. I told him I'll fight Brock Lesnar. You know, I'll fight whoever they put me. Just let me in the cage. I'm 5'7".
5'7". I'm about 5'11".
For a flyweight too. If you think about it.
Yeah, I'm about 5'11", but I'm about your weight. I'm maybe $130 soaking wet. So like, see, like now you're speaking my language. Like I love guys like you. You know, small but scrappers. Yeah, you scrappy. You're gonna go in there and you're gonna lay it down with somebody.
It's not just that. Like Zach. That's why I like to talk to some of a lot of the lighter weight fighters. They just have the more exciting fights when it comes down to it. The pace is more high paced. The skill level is more high level when it comes to it because of the things that he's talking about over here. That being able to find those fights. It's hard to find good fights at flyweight. He has had these things where you're going to have to go around in these situations where you have to just find where the competition is or just sit on the shelf. It's one of those things, and I can tell I want to get in there. I want to see what my improvement is, what I got to work on some more and work some more. So, what's kind of the plan with amateur? Are we going to stay here for another year? Handful more fights? Like kind of what's kind of the plan? Are you kind of just listening to what coach says and seeing what he lays out for you?
Yeah, whenever my coach feels, it's time for me to go pro, I'm listening to him. I trust him. My last 2 fights, I don't know if you've seen them. They didn't go my way. They were tough decisions. But my last fight, everybody thought I won. A lot of people. It was a rough one. It was a letdown. Yeah,
but see, it's also one of these things where you're not fighting in your natural weight. So like I don't put anything on that. Especially because people downplay that. There's a reason why we have weight classes. There's a reason why these things. When people bounce around, it's one of the things. It typically it's either one you're late replacement, can't find a fight, or you're trying to do some of these things that you see some of these fighters doing, building legacies and having bigger fights, bigger names, etc. You're in one of those situations where you're in a weight class that isn't as well developed over the years or has the extensive talent that you have in some of these other weight classes when you're looking at lightweight, welterweight, etc. There's you can find guys all over the world. It's really hard to find top level flyweight guys. So so when you're sitting there saying your last 2 were at Bensalem and you're telling me you're a natural flyweight, I don't pay any mind to what those amateur losses are because that's what they are. The learning experience. It's just you getting in there, kind of sharpening them tools, man. That's kind of why you have that. Well, go ahead, Zach. I've seen you want to get something in there.
If you feel like you want to fight, and your peers feel like you want to fight, and the judges go against you, I always feel like judging when fights go the distance in both boxing and MMA is always a little sketchy. Anyway, there's a lot of things that go into it. Like for you, is it more like, hey, if I felt like I won the fight and all my peers and the people I fight with are like, hey, we felt like you won the fight. Is that all that matters to you?
I say I before he answers that, I'll say that I'll give my 2 parts to this. Listen, if that's all fine and dandy, he's still an amateur. But at the end of the day, as long as the promoter is excited with a performance like that and the loss, and they feel that you won the fight, does it really matter?
Yeah, you're right because I try not to use it as an excuse or anything like the weight classes, but everybody thought I won, so that feels good, But that record, just seeing, I came into this thinking I was gonna, destroy everybody, so it really is humbling. Like these other guys train, just like me, so. But I just thought that last fight I definitely won. I mean, I go to sleep thinking I won, but it sucks seeing that 0-2. I didn't know if CFFC would bring me.
And that's one of those things, man. But hey, listen, you're an amateur, bro. I already said, listen, dude. I've seen guys that didn't do anything as an amateur. They would always find themselves putting themselves in their guys that were probably should have already been pro for a handful of times. This is going to be their last fight at amateur, and they would continually test themselves. And then as they became a professional, it was win after win after. Listen, this is the time to see who you are, to test those boundaries, and you're already, like I said, you already have that situation where you're locked in there with Cage Fury because of the relationship with your gym and your coach and everything like that. So I would just concentrate on getting my skills better, getting that striking in, continue to grow that way, and just make sure you put on those good performances that you get not only the fans' attention, the people around you attention, the promoters' attention. That's all that really matters at the end of the day. Like I'm sure, like you're sitting there saying you feel you won the fight and it's a good feeling, but I know when you're waking up at every morning, you're still looking at that 0. That's probably something that's eating at you beyond belief.
Yeah, it's rough. People people just see that I'm 0-2. You know, they probably don't think I'm too good of a fighter or whatever. But you know, everybody knows.
Go back and watch a fight and be like, "Oh, he actually won that fight." They're just seeing your record.
Yeah, my Rob, the owner of CFSC, you know, he told me great fight afterwards. He told me he wants me back, you know, October 2nd. So, you know, he knew I put on a show, and I
you just got to do it again.
Yeah, that's what I hope to I don't want to leave this to the judges at all. I'm a little pissed off with the judges. So
yeah, man. Listen, dude. I listen. You want to say to go back and listen to Burt Watson, man. He says it best, man. Don't let it go to the judges. Don't.
Yeah, it's that simple.
Don't make you cry. They're gonna hurt you.
How many fighters been fucked over by judges just because of their style of fighting? Like, remember, the fuck was Machado just hit a grand slam. Wow, the Padres took a 7-3 lead over the Braves on a Machado grand slam. But
let's go Phillies.
who the fuck was the guy that just died? The lefty, the southpaw that fought Oscar De La Hoya and guys like that in the 90s. Only had like 2 career losses, but like really like I just got hit by the car in Virginia recently, and I know I always remember his fucking name, and now all of a sudden I fucking can't.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
That ruins my fucking point. But the whole fucking point was, like, he was a fighter that obviously the 2 losses that he had were sketchy, and everybody was like, yeah, like he probably the one fight he definitely won. Everybody felt like he won, and the judges fucked him over. And the Oscar De La Hoya fight. Oscar's popular. Oscar was the biggest guy in boxing at the time, and the judges maybe always kind of, favor guys like that, the Pacquiaos, the Mayweathers, anybody that's kind of the most popular guy in the sport at the time. So, I don't like I think if I'm in your shoes, I don't worry about that. I'm just like, hey, you know what? I think I won the fight. My colleagues think I won the fight, and I'm more worried about their opinion. I have their respect. My promoter thinks I did a good job. I don't even give a fuck. No, yeah, I'm 0-2. So what? You know what? The judges are stupid. They're all fucking idiots. You know what I'm saying? Like, as long as I got the respect of the people around me, that's what I care about.
Yeah, man. I agree with you. It's like from a career standpoint, I just don't. I want to make it, and 0-2. I've seen guys go 0-2, and my coaches tell me, I've seen guys go 0-5 and turn their careers around, and but and it's all.
Whitaker was who I was thinking of, by the way.
Pernell Whitaker, yeah. Sweet.
He had a couple fights in his career where like his first loss was nice, man. And the De La Hoya fight could have gone either way.
It was nice, man. Now, obviously, you're trying to make that distinction for Cage Fury now. Now, I want to get your thoughts on some MMA news now. Obviously, John Jones has been his own worst freaking nightmare for way too freaking long. Goes and has one of his fights inducted into the UFC Hall of Fame, and here we go again. More domestic stuff, and another thing with a female. I've been one of these guys. Early on tried to defend a lot of things said and done. Like, listen, some people just don't do well in the limelight, or for whatever reason in life, or I don't know. You don't see Art, or you don't see Chandler acting like the way John does. Is it almost time where you're thinking that the UFC's waiting for somebody to dethrone him so they don't have to deal with him anymore?
Yeah, I mean, he hasn't fought in how long? It's like, I know he's such a great fighter when he fights, and he did so much in such short little time. He had such potential to be, one of the best fighters in the world forever. And
that's probably the biggest case of wasted potential we've probably seen in the past 10 years.
Yeah, that's just how I feel about it.
He could be a megastar, megastar. Like,
he was a megastar for a few years. Let's be honest.
A year. It was probably about 2 years. Right when the whole, I think it was prior to the DC fights. Yeah. The DC fights kind of exposed of who he was as a person.
2013-ish, 2014-ish, that area.
As much as I didn't really like some of the things Daniel Cormier, how he went about the X, Y, and Z, he wasn't wrong about a single freaking thing he said about John. A single thing.
Yeah,
what would you trade for John's talent? Like you talk about the talent that he has. I feel like most fighters would like. I feel like most fighters would be like, dude, like if I had this guy's talent, like
there's not many people that has the power to break their own toe in a fight, still finish the guy and walk around like it was almost nothing.
Yeah, and he just did it so young. You know, what was he, 21 with the belt?
I don't even think he. By the time he had beaten, the who's who of 205, I don't think he was even 27 years old.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel I can't understand it, because he just has all the potential and he doesn't use it. He don't care. He doesn't want to fight. He wakes up every day. I don't know if he trains, but he obviously doesn't want to get back in the cage because everybody wants to see him, in the cage, and he's not taking fights. He's not fighting, so I don't even think about the guys that aren't fighting. Even Khabib, he's the best fighter in the world. And, there's still more guys to take out, but I understand, his family and all the other circumstances. So, but it's if you love the fight, you just come to fight, man.
Do you think John Jones does I think it's at a point with John Jones where he's almost doing stuff almost despite Dana White in UFC. He knows Dana White hates him, talks all this shit. I'll get inducted into the UFC Hall of Fame and then go bump lines of cocaine off a hooker's ass.
I don't think he can be that dumb to try to pull something like this.
Why not? If I'm the best fighter in the world and I'm John Jones and I know I'm the best fighter in the world, Steven, I'm going to get inducted into the UFC Hall of Fame and then go bump lines of cocaine off a hooker's ass. Sure. And then beat the shit out of her. Why the fuck not? Just to spite the shit out of Dana White in UFC. I'm just saying, do you almost think it's at a point this is so ridiculous? He's doing this shit intentionally. He just doesn't give a fuck no more.
No, he just feels like he's untouchable because no one is actually humbled. No, just because no one's actually humbled him.
I just wonder, he had a dream. He lived his dream. He won the belt. And I just wonder if, that's it for him. He just wants to party now, his whole life. Because I could see it. I got a dream. I want to make the UFC. I want to be the flyweight champ. But I think I would continue to fight. But him.
But see, it's not just about winning. I want to secure
motivation.
Not just, dude. Listen. I agree. Absolutely, talent without the motivation or discipline. Dude, regardless if you feel like he's cheated over the years, with enhancements or whatever, you can't take away what he like as Nick was talking about, what he did early in his career. That run will probably be the most memorable run that most fans will ever see. We might get lucky enough to get another fighter to go on a tear like that, but no one was able to do what John did at his age to guys he was doing it to.
And like you said,
that was so. And I think to a part, I think I agree with Nick saying that he's gotten to a point I won the title. I've defended it. No, I don't think. And that's the other thing. It's gonna be really hard to get to his title defense number too. But I think because of all the interim things and all of his stuff, that at this point in time, it'd probably be more realistic. That I think that George St. Pierre, some of these other guys are probably be more one of these things that people should probably get more behind because we're getting to the point where I see people sitting there calling for the UFC and the MMA media to hold this guy. What do you want us to do if the UFC won't do anything?
Yeah.
What can you do?
There's nothing we can do. We're on the same boat. We're gonna go on social media and throw a fit, and then you have people's tweeting the wrong John Jones again. This freaking stupid computer guy can't get a break. He has all these overweight, overaged old white guys in his inbox telling him they're gonna beat him up.
And to Nick's point, there was times you're saying there was times in his career where maybe he wasn't even training at 100% level, and he was still whipping dudes' asses. When you couldn't
was. He definitely was.
When you can half-ass your training and then still go out and be the best fighter in the world.
The first time it caught up with him was Alexander Gustafsson. That's the first time it caught up with him.
Yeah.
And he might be lost that fight and got lucky and got given the decision.
Yeah,
but
yeah, he did. He did lose that fight and he did get the decision. The second time around was a different fight and he took it seriously.
Yeah. I thought Alexander won that fight.
I thought he won the first fight too.
Yeah, I don't know what's up.
Now, what is Nick Gebhard going to be doing to prevent it from getting to the judges? Obviously, you said you've been working on your striking a lot. What are you going to do to make sure Mr. Robinson doesn't get his hand raised or doesn't even see the judges?
He's a wrestler. He's gonna try his takedowns. I'm stuffing these takedowns. I'm gonna beat him up on the feet bad. I just can't wait to get back in there after that last one. And I don't want to see the judges at all. So I'm going to give them everything. You know, these fights are only 6 minutes.
You should go to K-Side and just say, like, y'all take the night off. This ain't going to take long.
Yeah, that's basically like I want it.
You basically need like at this point in time, like not on a cocky bravado note, just have that mindset. Like, listen, this fight ain't going to last 30 seconds.
Yeah,
he's gonna come in try for a takedown. I'm gonna stuff her, you know, and just start unleashing hell on him. Just whatever you do, just make sure it's controlled and you have a plan with it, brother.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think I'm the better wrestler. I think I'm the better striker, and I'm just coming out hot. These fights are only 6 minutes. In the gym, I'm sparring, you know, for an hour, 3-minute rounds, different partners all around the room. I'm getting
appreciate the love, Javion. Appreciate the love, Javion.
We're getting a lot of work in, so I just know that it'll show in a 6-minute fight when I'm, you know, training for hours.
And is that another thing like you want to look forward to as you're becoming a pro is getting the longer rounds and working up the lungs and cardio for all that too, man.
Yeah, for sure. That's what right now we're sparring for an hour around the room. So I think I'd be okay in a 3-round, 5-minute fight the UFC is or the pros do. But yeah, this fight is 3 2-minute rounds. It's so quick. You got to go like as soon as the bell rings, you know. So I just plan on giving it everything I got every round from
you. You got since you know that you're the better wrestler, you know he's probably gonna be going for that. You going for any Jorge Masvidal knees or anything like that?
Nah, I wish I can't because it's amateur. You can't knee to the head. So you know.
Oh, yeah, I forgot. I thought it was whatever.
Yeah. There's tough rules, you know, because it's like
because every state's different. I keep forgetting about that. Like some states they allow it, some states they don't.
Yeah, it's weird. It's all by state and commission. So I just do what I can in the rule set. But yeah, I think I'll just stuff the takedown sprawl. You know, he could take me down. My jiu-jitsu is on point. You know, I've been working my jiu-jitsu. I got submissions, triangles, arm bars. I can't wait to go. Like every time I find out I have a fight, I'm sick of waiting. You know, they tell you it's a month or 2 weeks or whatever it is, 3 months. Like I think about the guy every day. It's anticipation. Like I just want to fight. Like we have to fight, so let's do it. You know.
You know, I'm sure. You know, as you're getting down to it, you're ready, man. You know, we're about a week away. Right about now, you'll probably be hopefully you know, enjoying a beer, relaxing at the casino, right?
Yeah, no doubt. We got a section at the club afterwards because both me and my teammate plan on winning, so we'll definitely be celebrating.
Hey, there you go. So, no, obviously, I got to ask you. You know, A2D Radio. You know, we talk all kinds of sports here. Outside of MMA, what are kind of some of the things you're following? You're into?
I'm in everything: baseball, hockey, football, college football. I'm a big gambler. I like to put parlays in on a lot of different sports.
That's what we're doing over here. Zach's been doing all that stuff too. We got some stuff going on over
I'm
here.
I'm a complete degenerate. You know what I mean? That's just, just it is what it is.
Just can't help
I got
it, man.
BYU minus 13.5 tonight to go along with a soccer team that I can't pronounce scoring more than a goal and a half tomorrow, all because that's what my bookie told me to do. That's how much of a degenerate I am.
Yeah, you got to listen to the experts, man.
Exactly, yeah.
Man.
Oh man. So yeah, obviously we had Spoon and Zeak on here earlier. Obviously, you know, rivalry week for Eagles Cowboys Monday Night Football. Are you an Eagles fan? You excited for this one?
I'm an Eagles fan. You know, Dallas looks good this year, but you know, I'll ride with the Eagles. I think the Eagles can win.
Well, I know a lot of people aren't really up on that. It was kind of one of our poll questions for tonight was if they were going to be able to secure that victory tonight. Or Monday night in Dallas for the first time since 2017. So you kind of agree with that? I think it's going to be a 3-point swing. It can go either way. But both Zach and Zeak kind of felt that it's going to be a shootout and a race to 35, so to speak. How do you feel that Monday Night Football is going to play out for the Birds?
I could totally see a shootout. You know, It's going to be a high-scoring game.
If it's a high-scoring game, we're in trouble. I'm just going to tell you that.
I don't. That's what I'm saying. I don't think we can really last with them. I wouldn't put no money on it, but I just want the Eagles to win. But I could see Dallas winning, in the end for sure. But hopefully the Eagles win.
We'll see. Like I said, I'm kind of on both, on like a little bit of. We'll see kind of happens with the fact that you lost Dillard. You lose Brandon Graham.
Yeah, big loss.
Brooks is out for a few games. Already got issues on that offensive line. Hurts has already kind of been hot and cold. We'll have to see what happens. I think it's a 3-point one where we could kind of pull it out, but if kind of seeing how this is playing out, I guess it's just willful thinking. We want the win, but I think
what it is. Yeah.
Listen. It more than likely Dallas might tweak this one out. We'll see.
Yeah, if I had to bet, a money line, I would have to take Dallas, but I'm not. I wouldn't touch it.
Don't necessarily disagree.
I think if I was going to bet the game at all, I'd be more likely to go look at some of the same game parlays and see what you could find. Jalen Hurts over a certain amount of rushing, attempts, or CeeDee Lamb over a certain amount of receiving yards, or something along those lines. I think that's maybe more where your money can be made is, Devontae Smith over a certain amount of receiving yards, something along those lines.
Yeah, for sure. I like the same game parlays.
Oh, damn. Look at this. We got an Eagles fan from Brazil.
There you go.
Love it. Absolutely
awesome.
Love it. Go Birds.
Something like, a good same game parlay here might be like, both Dak Prescott and Jalen Hurts to score an individual touchdown. Like maybe both of them, rushing for a touchdown at some point in this game.
But I think the actual game itself. Play. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you there, Zach. Go some parlays inside the game, not the actual game itself.
Yeah, that sounds way better.
I could see Dak like a QB sneak or some type of bootleg play action, QB run down inside the 5, him scoring a touchdown, and then Jalen's always obviously a threat to score with his legs or something like that. So that might not be a bad parlay, or a bad play if you see the odds. If that's plus anything,
you seem like you got the locks, man.
No, I don't have shit. Trust me, if I play my own shit, I suck. But I'm just saying what. Based off of what I would think, I mean, that might be something to look at. I'm not saying I'd play it. I just look at it and see what the odds are. But I do what my bookies tell me, man. Come on, you know how this goes. You listen, like you said earlier.
I'm with you. The real Darkness. I feel it's going to be a good game, but appreciate you that you liking Hurts. Hopefully, when you give up on Dak in like a year, you can come give us a few picks for him.
If you could get like Ezekiel Elliott, like over under like 55.5 rushing yards in this game, you take the over, right? Like something
Absolutely.
Like that, right?
Without a doubt. Without a doubt.
But that his backup, Pollard, he looks good too.
Yeah, but if I'm doing anything with Pollard, I would sit there and say that he's definitely going to wind up scoring Monday out of the backfield. I think that I would guarantee.
Well,
so
thanks.
you might throw some money on that. Like, see, there you go.
Yeah, I got Dalvin Cook. I think he's questionable. He's hurt in fantasy, and I got Pollard on the bench. I don't know if I have to bring Pollard off the bench. I don't know what's going to happen with Cook. I don't know what to do.
Vikings have been struggling offensively to begin with. Dalvin, it's kind of been like a little weird for them to start the year. I don't know. That's a tough. I don't fuck around with fantasy. I don't really like fantasy football. To me is like, you know what? You know why fantasy football? I don't like fantasy football. Like Jalen Hurts, on average, had the second most fantasy points of any quarterback last year, and he did it with a 52% completion percentage. I don't like that. Like fantasy football ain't real football. Like to me, that's like that shit just doesn't. Scoring. Yeah, like it's kind of its own thing, and too many people take it like serious as if it means that like it correlates to the actual game.
Yeah, for sure.
But hey, speaking of correlate to the actual game, Phillies, got it done today. Ranger gets that,
I'm a whole base hit. Fuck.
You think the Phillies are going to squeeze in here? Me and Zach, we're at odds on this starting the season. I kind of felt they would be on the outside looking in. He felt they would sneak into the wild card, but obviously it looks like that whole thing changed and that they could win the division.
I said we were going to win the division, Steven. I said we were going to win the division.
Yes,
I said we were going to have 95 wins. That's not going to come close to happening, but I did say we were going to win the division.
Yeah, you did.
They're just so inconsistent. But yeah, hopefully we squeeze it out. I think they'll squeeze it out. I think, what are we, 1 game back right now?
Yeah, I mean, if the Padres win tonight, we're in really good shape. I mean, what you would hope for, we've taken the first 3 from Pittsburgh. You sweep them tomorrow, hopefully, right? And then San Diego, if they're to hold on and win tonight, you're in a position to go to Atlanta. And if you could sweep Atlanta, you walk out of there with, I think, a 2-game lead. So, yeah, I mean, it's –
Yeah, I mean – yeah. See, but every time I feel like they have this position, they blow it. So it's like
they fuck it up, right? They could get swept by Arizona type of thing.
Right.
Uh-huh.
Like it's just they do. I don't know what's wrong with them.
They're hot and cold. They're the most frustrating team for us Philly fans to watch at the moment.
For sure. Yeah.
Now the Cowboys.
The only thing that's kept me kind of hanging in there.
Now the Cowboys fan coming back here. He says, just out of curiosity, since he just got here, what do we think about Micah and what are you guys going to do to deal with him? I guess he's talking about Micah Parsons. Is their linebacker, right?
Micah.
I guess that's who he's talking about. Who else is Micah that would be on Dallas?
Yeah. Well, what are you talking about? I don't know, real antagonist. What explain to us? Explain. What is your point here?
I think Micah isn't Micah Parsons their linebacker? Is that who he's talking about?
He doesn't play for the Cowboys, does he? Really? Did y'all draft him?
What's going on with him? Something's going on.
I don't even know. I mean, this guy might have been smoking a little bit too much good stuff. He'd been hitting the bubbly. I don't know.
Yes, he's talking about Micah Parsons. So I guess Parsons. They did. I guess they did draft him. All right. So
that's how irrelevant he's been. You didn't even realize he played for the Cowboys.
I guess he's probably going to be the guy that's going to be trying to keep Jalen Hurts on the wraps. Jalen made some plays with his feet last week, despite the having to take that L last week. Didn't really look good throwing the ball. But listen, dude, I think we kind of already touched it. Kind of feel like it's gonna, I know some people kind of feel it's going to be shootout. If it's going to be shootout, I think the Eagles are going to be on the wrong side of it. If it's a close game, I think the Eagles win it.
Speaking of shootouts, Jorge Soler just hit a 3-run homer for Atlanta, and it's 7-7 in the 6th inning.
Jeez, man.
Man.
By the way,
it's
Dan
tough
Hooker,
to be a Phillies fan, ain't it, guys?
Dan Hooker won his fight.
Dan Hooker won.
Yeah.
Woo-hoo! Let's go. Okay, now I just need Robbie Lawler to take care of business tonight. Let's go.
That's impressive because Hooker, he's not allowed to train right now in New Zealand. There's a big lockdown or whatever. So,
See, I've got a UFC expert that told me to bet on Dan Hooker, so I did. And Hooker's coming off a loss. He got TKO'd his last fight, right? So it's a little bit like that line. Him being a favorite was a little weird. I was worried about it, but I trust my people. Let's go.
Yeah, for sure. I loved Hooker in this fight. I just was a little scared because he wasn't training right. The gym's closed down. I didn't know how he was training, but he got it done. That's good.
All right, let's go. I need Robbie Lawler to take care of business. Steven, you said Nate Diaz. I mean, obviously Nate Diaz, sexy name. Everybody still loves Diaz because of what he did with McGregor and all that. But not the guy he was a few years back.
Nate and Nick are arguably probably the 2 most exciting fighters to watch, both in the cage and on the microphone. Just because you don't know what they're going to say, and they're just a different breed of fighters.
Didn't get them.
That being said, Nick Diaz don't look like the last Nick Diaz that we saw. He doesn't look that great. Don't always mean anything, but.
Diaz seems to be a guy that he gets motivated for certain fights, but Robbie Lawler, I mean, he's that dude. Robbie Lawler is a bad man. He
loves to fight,
You never bet against Robbie Lawler, right? Almost type of thing.
Robbie Lawler just has so many great fights in his fightology or whatever you want to call it.
They're both
is
dogs,
gonna be, listen, the matchups with him and freaking Roy McDonald are just gonna be legendary. Period.
Yeah, I mean it's awesome that they're fighting again because Nick, must have been a little better in their prime because he put him away. But
yeah, I'd agree.
In their
prime, Nick was definitely better.
Yeah, Robbie's a dog though, and he never gave up.
I'll say this much: Robbie has changed so much since that fight. I mean, Nick has changed too. So like these two were totally different fighters. Like Nick was a Cesar Gracie standout who had way above average boxing, and he's kind of still the same guy.
But do you guys feel as if
Robbie's changed a lot over the years? Robbie was just a guy that would go in there and bang with you. But he's changed a lot over there. He's kind of calmed down and rounded out, and he's not just this wild man anymore. But he's
gotten better with age.
Yeah, but like it's also one of the things where he's been more active, even if he hasn't been like he's kind of on the same boat. I know Nick wasn't too thrilled with this matchup, as you're talking with what you're seeing in kind of the press conferences. But at the same time, like, listen, like, when you stay away from action for X amount of time, like, I don't want to hear that you expect to fight X person or Y person. Whenever you get in there, whether you get in there, why not with Robbie Lawler? I mean, come on.
Does anybody feel as if, like, Diaz, like, when he beat McGregor and, like, at the time that he beat McGregor kind of had that Mike Tyson unstoppable feel about him, right? Like that Ronda Rousey kind of feel about him where it was just, man, this guy's unbeatable right now. And then Nick Diaz brought him back down to earth and humbled the shit out of him, right?
It was Nate, but got you. It was Nate.
I got you. You know what the fuck I'm saying. Nate Diaz humbled the shit and brought him back down to earth. That's why I said Diaz the first time. I should have never went with the fucking first name. But was that Diaz's, like, was that like his crowning moment? Was that like kind of like the peak of everything for him? And since then it's kind of like he did that.
I mean, for Nate, yeah, like it definitely was. And Nick hasn't gotten that. Like he's never he doesn't have that real like boom moment signature fight. Like he has big fights, and he ruled freaking Elite EX and Strike Force, and he had all these great matchups, but I don't think it was ever quite like massive level on the way it was where that Nate had with Conor. I mean, you can try to kind of recreate that, and absolutely agree with you. We're antagonist Conor McGregor ain't the same. He's got John Jones syndrome times 1,000.
I think times are just totally different. Nick Diaz, when he rose to the top, he was the champ in Strikeforce, and people weren't really paying attention to MMA.
But, people weren't paying attention to MMA, but it was also like that was when it was like it was one of these things that we talk about a lot during that time. There were specialists that you had to go to here to go get this, and you go here to get that, and go there to get this. And now like MMA has changed so much, like you pretty much get everything in all the same place for the most part. Like there's just so much that's changed, and like I can't wait to see guys like you how you're going to want to be being so much different on so many different skill levels compared to what we see now. Like you're sitting there saying like hey, like my hopes and dreams, like I want to see Mighty Mouse's records get smashed, and then it says Nick Gebhard's up there because that's how the mentality is. But it's something that you could probably do because of the simple fact of some of the things that we talked about there's not a whole lot of guys in there, but as at that weight. But like, listen, what you guys have now compared to what these guys had back then, it's night and day. Not just from a training aspect, not just from being able to do this, because you got to remember a lot of times back in those days, cross training was like almost freaking forbidden.
Yeah.
So it was like
developed.
Yeah, so it's like, dude, just so much has changed in those aspects. And like when we're talking about it, when we go down those lines, of say, like when we're looking at things, Rocky Balboa equals Conor McGregor.
Who are your three MMA goats?
He wishes he was freaking Conor McGregor, man, or Conor McGregor. Wish he was Rocky at this point in time because. Listen, he's gonna the road that Conor's going down right now. He's gonna be the fastest burnt out champion that lost its stardom out of sheer ignorance.
Listen, the real GOAT is Rocky Marciano, right, Steven?
I mean, if I was going to say anything, I was going to say anything. That's what I would. I think
the two greatest heavyweight boxers ever: Rocky Marciano, Joe Louis, and Marciano beat Louis. That's why he gets the nod over Louis, but. I mean, that's your real Rocky right there. But your MMA goats. I think all MMA fighters kind of have like a group of MMA fighters that they look at and say like the most transcendent guys. They're people that were their biggest motivation. For you, who were like the guys in MMA that were like the greatest of all time that transcended the sport the most?
My favorite fighter is TJ Dillashaw. I always liked his style.
The snake.
Yeah,
You like the snake?
His movements in there, his switch kicks and how he sets everything up. It's pretty crazy. But Khabib, I look up to. He's one of the best fighters ever. And Henry Cejudo, he's there. Even Demetrius Johnson, that flyweight class is just insane with the talent. Demetrius Johnson and Henry Cejudo, they're two of the best guys on earth at 125, and they're dangerous. So, yeah,
I got to ask you this one: when Henry retired, that hurt a little bit. You kind of want to see where that run would go a few more years.
Yeah, like I said, man, I hate that. Like, I just hate it. You're such a good fighter. People are dying for this opportunity, and they might not have as much talent as you, but they're working every day to get there, and you just decide you're not going to do it anymore, or I don't really get it. I would do it as long as I can. I just love the fight. It's as simple as that. And to get paid to fight, that's crazy, because that's way better than fighting for nothing, over problems or.
Yeah, when I'm going with goats, it's a couple different things for me, man. Like it's rough. Like it's one of the things. Like we were talking about it a few weeks ago before John went on this whole freaking tangent of destroying more of his legacy. That that arguably they're probably the most notable freaking brothers in sports. Period. But. I mean, there's so many people that changed so many different things. Like Rhonda did some things that people can't take away, regardless of what you feel about, one trick pony, et cetera, et cetera. She broke down doors that no one thought that could be broken down. Didn't really care for his style at the time, but George St. Pierre is definitely one of the people that without a doubt changed so much in MMA. People tend to forget that Matt Hughes was running through the UFC welterweight division like there was nobody's business before Zuffa really blew up and kind of became what the early stages of what the UFC is today. And then along came this French Canadian fighter named George St. Pierre, really kind of threw everything around and just changed everything. You changed a lot of things for good or for bad, and there's a lot of things that he did. Randy Couture, man, people don't talk about Randy Couture enough. And then another one who doesn't get spoken enough overall in the overall scheme of things is Bas Rutten as well. Those are kind of where I look at. I don't just go by like just the weight classes and things. They're just things of you bringing into it. Ronda has to be mentioned, but also there's other women's MMA pioneers that need to be brought up. And the fact that none of us had mentioned Roxanne Modafferi is now going to have 49 professional fights, and most of MMA media has not mentioned it. Stop it. Stop it.
She just got beat up bad.
She got beat up too.
Yeah.
My oldest brother's favorite fighter was Chuck Liddell. That was always like his guy back, like
But he was one of those things where when they were building 205, it was like Randy, Chuck, and Tito, and like Chuck was kind of the first superstar of the UFC.
Yeah,
the Zuffa era UFC. Let me say that because there was plenty of guys they had early on that were absolute rock stars. It can't take that away from them either. But like Chuck was kind of the first one. They helped them blow up on that thing. Like they had that zeal with Zion's energy, and they were doing a lot of things. And Chuck Liddell was just one of those guys, and he was the Iceman. He was putting people away. So that's
Yeah, you could throw Anderson Silva in there.
Yeah, Anderson is, but I mean it's kind of rhetorical to me. Like I didn't really care for some of the stuff, but he was just amazing on so many different levels. He absolutely, when he obliterated freaking Rich Franklin, like he wasn't there. And then when he moved up to 205, and I was at UFC 101 here in Philadelphia, it was until I got home, I was still in absolute belief that was an early stoppage and Forrest was good. Until I got home and seen the look in Forrest's face and how he held his hand. I'm like, yeah, no. He knocked him out with a jab walking forward. Holy crap.
Yeah, that is insane.
And then he just knocked Tito out, like knocked him out. Who's ever knocked out the freaking four big blockhead of a freaking man, Tito Ortiz? So Anderson Silva is definitely one of those guys there too as well. BJ Penn's another guy. He changed a lot of things, but has done a lot of things. Personally, to kind of lose favor inside the MMA community. But BJ was definitely one of the earlier goats of the lightweight.
Fought out of Toms River, New Jersey, right?
BJ, I don't think Frankie.
No,
Frankie,
I'm thinking of Frankie Edgar, right? Yeah, Frankie Edgar fought out of Toms River, right?
Yeah, Frankie was over in Toms River. Yeah.
I've got cousins that grew up in Toms River, and I believe one of them went to school with Frankie Edgar. They're always talking about, knew Frankie Edgar from the Toms River area or whatever, but they were always talking about when he was training there hardcore and how much they would always see him around town and all that. But BJ Penn, Frankie Edgar, I mean, they had a good rivalry for a while, right? That was one of the.
Well, it wasn't a good rivalry. Just Frankie was the better fighter. There was no rivalry. Just BJ was mad because he couldn't. He again was going back to being one of these specialists, and Frankie had an iron chin and iron will, wrestling and cardio for days. And BJ would get lazy. He had arrogance, and things like that cost him. These are things like this. What I was talking about, how he'd lose faith. There was probably on paper at that time before that fight happened, no reason why Frankie Edgar should have even been matched up with him. But it is the way it happened, and Frankie took advantage of every moment he was given, and BJ squandered just about every opportunity he was.
Yeah. I remember them fighting on one of the Ultimate Fighter, finales one year. I guess it was their final fight or whatever when they were both old as shit. But yeah.
Yeah, Frankie, I mean, he's a dog. He never stops in there. He's a tough fight.
I mean, that's the kind of guy, like a gas tank you want. You like if it like when you're like you see this stuff in like superheroes, they were pulling superpowers of this. If you could put together a fighter, I guarantee you, chin, cardio, and heart. I would definitely want to put FE on my name. Want some Frankie Edgar there, right?
Yeah, for sure, definitely. That's what he's got. Heart.
All right, Nick, before I get ready to kind of wrap things up, what I typically do is kind of throw the proverbial microphone over you. Anyone you would like to thank, training partners, teammates, shoot out your social media sites, any sponsors you have, anything you're doing outside of the cage, outside of MMA that you want to let the people know that you're involved in and you want to get other people into. The time is yours, my friend.
Yeah, I just want to thank my gym, American MMA and Wrestling, Nick Catone, Brandon Keller. Great coaching all around the room, great training partners, Daimir Rappa, Justin Carice, Rich Rodavello, Nick Forbes, Timmy Tyler. I got fighters just all around the room, Ross, Mata, and, we're all training hard every day, getting us ready for these fights. So I appreciate all of them, my family, my girlfriend, everybody supporting me. You could follow me just at Nick Gebhard on Twitter. Gebhard Nick on Instagram, find me on Facebook, and really just tune in October 2nd for this fight because I'm going to put on a show. It's going to be a good one. So that's really all.
That's all right, brother. You can keep it short and sweet. Let the people know what's up. Definitely appreciate you coming on here, Nick. Definitely, wish you the best of skill October 2nd, man. Do your thing. Lay it all out there. You know what to do. You already put the work in, man. You got the great team around you. Do what you got to do. Let the people know what's up. Get that win under your belt and start working towards some goals, my friend.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you guys for having me on. It means a lot.
It's definitely a pleasure, man. Dude, you can talk to Timmy, man. He knows how I do these things, man. I always say, it doesn't matter how big, how small. Everyone needs a platform. Everyone's got a story to tell. We all start somewhere, man. Appreciate you giving us the time. Hopefully, you get the victory. We get you back on here again. Get your pro, and hopefully, like I said, man, you never know, Nick. You could be one of these guys who are going to be one of these title holders, regardless if it's UFC belt or whatever. You already put the work in. You already got a great team around you. Keep working, brother.
Yeah, man. Thank you.
Not a problem, man. Have a good one. We'll do it again here in the future. Wish you the best, and have fun, man. Have fun. All right, guys. That was Nick Gebhard. Definitely a fun one. Definitely a name to kind of keep going and looking forward to in the future. What are your feelings? What are your feelings on Nick this afternoon? Definitely a kid you want to keep your eye on moving forward.
Well, yeah, definitely. I'll tell you what. I just realized that Ranger Suarez pitched a complete game today.
Oh, you didn't notice that?
Well, I mean, obviously I can't watch the games down here. I was just keeping my eye on the score, but you know, for everything that our pitching staff, our starting pitching staff, Nola's struggled more than we'd like. I mean, if Suarez has all of a sudden come out of nowhere to be a guy where you're like, wow, like he's maybe been the most reliable like pitcher in our rotation in the second half of the season. It's pretty crazy to think what he's been since at least the middle of August for us in that rotation. If you go into the postseason right now, it's got to be Wheeler, Suarez, and then probably Nola, doesn't it? Like that's your rotation almost at this point. And Nola can't be your two.
I know you've been riding Nola's man.
Listen,
I mean, within reason. No. With all fairness, he's earned it. He's earned it. I'm not going to take that away.
And the offense bailed him out the other night. But to be in at home against Pittsburgh, we're down 6-0 in the third inning because Aaron Nola can't fucking get guys out for a fucking shitty Pittsburgh team. Then he got bailed out by the fucking offense, and we win 12-8 or whatever the case is. But the bottom line is, Aaron Nola can't fucking give up 6 runs in 3 innings to Pittsburgh when we're in the middle of a fucking playoff race in the National League East. That's ridiculous. That's absolutely fucking bullshit. It's unacceptable.
So
you just can't have that.
Is Aaron one of the names you try to move on from during the offseason to try to get this team better?
What is his value? I mean, I really don't think he has that much value around the league. I think we look at him, he's a good pitcher, and teams around the league are like, yeah, he's a good pitcher, but what is there about him? He's not a high velocity guy. There's nothing sexy about his stuff. He doesn't pitch well in September or down the stretch or in clutch games, right?
All right,
so there's really nothing about him that other teams look at and go, yeah, I'll give you 2 top prospects for him, or I'll give you this guy who, just hit 30 home runs for us. Like, there's nothing about him for me. Am I trading him for an elite closer? Maybe I'll do that. Like, I need an elite back end of the bullpen arm, an elite back end of the bullpen arm, not just a bullpen arm, an elite back end of the bullpen arm. I'll trade him in a heartbeat for that guy. Just because I think having that elite back end of the bullpen arm at this point is probably more valuable than having Aaron Nola in my rotation. But it's almost sad that it's come to this point. You know what I'm saying? He's got a 4.56 ERA this year or something stupid like that, a 4.6 ERA. If the guy would have an ERA under 4, we wouldn't even be in this conversation. We'd already be a playoff team. That's how bad that's been.
I know, brother. I know. All right. So as we're gonna wrap this one up, we're gonna go through a few things before we end it up. Got a few more things I gotta say. Final Phillies thought. This time next week, are we going to be in first place and going to the playoffs?
I told you after the Arizona series, I gave up on believing in this team. But
I didn't say you had to believe in them. I just said, what are your gut feeling this time next week? Playoff team or not?
Right now, I think we're playing better baseball than the Braves. I would like to think that we can go and sweep Atlanta. This team, though, has been on life support for me for the better part of 3 weeks or a month. The only reason I haven't pulled the plug yet, right? It's like when you got your grandmother on life support. You love her to death. Oh my God, I want her to cling and I want her to hold on and I want her to beat this. But you know what? Like, it's just the end. But the only thing that's maybe not pulled the plug has been the fact that Bryce Harper has been so damn good.
Hit 34 tonight. Hit the 34 tonight.
And another home run tonight, right? Like I think he's the MVP of the National League, even if we don't make the playoffs, because it's down to him and Tatis. And he's playing better ball down the stretch than Tatis is. But you almost want to think
for the season. Is that going to be your silver lining? That's the silver lining for the season. Bryce was the MVP.
I guess either way, that's the silver lining. But you want to think that if he's going to win MVP, you just want to hold out on the hope that if he wins MVP, this team can make the playoffs. So I want to say yes, they find a way to scratch and claw their way in there. We've won 9 of 11 now. You're playing your best ball at the best time. We've asked for a stretch like this all year.
Listen. If you're a Phillies fan, like it may not have been pretty, it may not have been nice, but I think when it all boils down to it, they're gonna sneak in. They're gonna win the division.
Carry us to the playoffs, Bryce. Right? Jump on my back, boys. and carry me to the playoffs.
And here's the thing. And here's the thing. Remember, people tend to forget he did that early on in the time with the Nationals before they started putting some pieces around them. He's done that before. He's capable of doing that. I think he'll be capable of doing that this season. They got some things they have to address in the offseason. Gonna have to let Zach let it out right here. Zach. All right, so two more. We got to get to the Ben Simmons freaking nonsense. Obviously he's ready. He's basically he doesn't want to face us to the point where he doesn't even want his teammates to even potentially try to work out with him to attempt to talk him into coming back.
He's not made for Philadelphia, and I think that's kind of what this is like. He's just realized it's not a city that he can play in with this.
Is this one of the few times you won't give fans a crap about the jersey burning?
Or
will you?
I mean, listen, the fans have definitely. I mean, they're a part of this. We don't know how to let when guys struggle or we don't give the benefit of the doubt. We have no idea what guys go through. And sometimes guys go through mental stages and guys go through things in their career where you just got to let them go through it and just be like, listen, we're not happy. You suck. You piss me off. The way you play irritates me and agitates the shit out of me. But sometimes we don't know how to let go. And we just push guys over the point to where it's like, you know what? If I'm Ben Simmons and I'm making all this money and at the end of the day, I don't give a, is he coming across like a giant entitled baby? Sure. But it's the NBA, and that's what these guys are. They're giant entitled babies. I mean, at the end of the day, when you make $200 million in your contract, you've got all the leverage. And this Denver Nuggets trade, this rumor that we've heard, is think about what the Denver Nuggets are as a team. Jamal Murray, right? They've got Nurkic, right? Or not Nurkic. What the fuck is his name? The fucking center that we all knew who the fuck I'm talking about. The giant Russian motherfucker that plays for them that's big as shit and really fucking good. Right? So they've got Murray, they've got him. If you add Ben Simmons into that equation, that's a really, really, really good team. He's all of a sudden the defensive player that they need. And Denver's kind of one of those under-the-radar teams. That trade really works in a lot of ways for you if you can find the right pieces to come back. I think it makes the most sense. Like Denver really benefits from adding Ben Simmons. You know what I'm saying? Like they all of a sudden become that much better of a team in the Western Conference. They already got 2 elite scorers, 2 elite all-around players, and Ben Simmons becomes that guy that can kind of go match up and defend the other team's best scorer and maybe shut them down, which is all Denver really needs. Now, who do we get back in return? Bones Highland's a guy that was kind of we talked about Tyrese Maxey being an underrated player for us when we got him in the draft a year ago. Bones Highland was kind of that guy, and if Alan Foy's still listening, he's going to love this. But he was kind of that guy that fell in the draft this year, and Denver kind of got a steal with him late in the first round. He's one of the few guys that if you send him back in the deal as kind of a centerpiece with a couple other pieces, you might actually have a pretty good deal. Highland plays pretty well with Tyrese Maxey and the rest of this team. I don't know what Simmons' value is anymore. I don't want to trade him for a new bag of basketballs or a new sweat mop boy.
I'm with you there. Don't trade him just to trade him. Make it make sense. Make it make sense.
But what is his value? Does he really?
Well, no, he's ruined the value, and that's kind of the sticking point where everyone's at right now. And that's why this league hasn't moved forward yet. And I get that.
Just move forward. If Denver's going to give you something that you're at least okay, I can live with that. You might just have to live with it. It just might be the way it is.
Now, before we go again, I want to throw it out there again for the A2D membership. Again, like I said, gonna go 2 ways. New members, you guys are gonna get a couple Eagles signed swag bag, and existing members, anyone who gets anyone to sign up for the membership, gonna get a signed Michael Vick vinyl. So
I'm so excited about a signed Michael Vick vinyl.
So we got something for the new subscribers. We got something for the old subscribers. We're gonna spin the wheel a couple times next week. We'll see how that goes for the fans. We've been doing some stuff on social. I know Tom and the guys got some other things going for the membership. Any parting points or comments before we wrap this one and put a bow on it, my friend?
Yeah, just go on eBay or Amazon and buy a signed Michael Vick whatever for $5.
It's more than $5, knucklehead.
I'm sure you could find a signed Michael Vick something for $5. One of them shitty bobbleheads that looks nothing like Michael Vick. It looks more like Randall Cunningham.
I guarantee you, my girl feels the same exact way.
You're looking at this Michael Vick bobblehead that wears number 7. You're like, and it's wearing one of those old school like Eagles jerseys. You're like, is this Ron Jaworski or Michael Vick? I can't even tell. Like,
oh, stop it! That's mean to Jaws. Don't be mean to Jaws. All right,
I'm making fun of. I'm more making fun of the bobbleheads that these teams send out.
Appreciate everyone's time tonight. Appreciate Zeak hopping on here. Appreciate Nick hopping on here. I think me and Jocelyn must have gotten the time zones mixed up. She's out there in Arizona. I'll probably hear from her in about an hour. Like, hey, I'm ready. Like, we'll get her rescheduled. Obviously, she doesn't quite have a fight lined up. Freshly out of retirement, just signed with BKFC. We'll get Jocelyn back on here again in the coming weeks. Other than that, fly Eagles fly. Let's go. Let's do our thing. Let's go Phillies. You make sure you put a bow on the season, regardless if you get ousted in the first round or not. Get to the playoffs. That was the whole point of the season, was get to the playoffs. It is within reach, regardless of how bad you played the season. Get to the playoffs. All right, I'm Steve. He's Zach. This was another episode of the Weekly Roundup. We will be back, same time, next Saturday. Peace out, fam.